Good evening, Speed Gaming fans. My name is Gozengata, and alongside me is Sinus. We're here for the SMZ3 Combo Randomizer Tournament. Sinus, how you doing this evening?
Pretty good, thanks. How are you doing? It looks
I'm-
like Cross and Amarith are getting started as we speak.
Absolutely, the timing couldn't have been better. Starting out in Metroid, of course. The question is anyone going to go down and check the bottom two items? Or are they just going to go right into Zelda?
Pass. Very normal opens. And Cross product, hopping off and checking the island there real quick. Meanwhile, Amarith, looking like they're going to go and check perhaps, the house, and maybe looping that into escape.
Bombs.
Amarith also finding bombs at their first tree pool. Cross product picking up a tunic upgrade immediately. Some nice early defensive game there.
Absolutely. We're seeing a nice, happy, friendly seed right now. Just giving our runners good stuff out the gate. Bombs, mail upgrade. What do you want to see next? I want to see something crazy. Let's see screw attack. Let's get some Metroid diving going.
We'll have to wait and see. So far, Cross product looking like they're electing to take the north route into Kakariko Village. We'll see if he stops to check Lumberjack Cave first. Many runners will not bother checking Lumberjack Cave until they are certain that it is an Agaseed, or if they find the boots. Some players will elect to take the south route into Kakariko, although this is probably a smart play on both of their parts, given that they found bombs in a tree pool. Also, a very nice crab drop. This is randomized as well in the SMZ3 randomizer. Crabs yielding 20 rupees, which is a nice early rupee farm.
It looks like on the ledge there we've got missiles, so don't need the item from Aga. So far, not crazy needing those boots. I know our runners always want to see that as this is a speed run and we love to go fast.
And Cross gonna again take advantage of that of the crab dropping the 20 rupees. Amarith also getting the missile information on Lumberjack Ledge there as well. And there's one more crab in here as well. Cross will probably farm this one as well. And I don't know if he set that up intentionally, but you can get the crab stuck in the wood here and take advantage of the drops. Cross picking up a hammer early. So far, very similar routes between both our runners. Amarith is going to pick up the hammer here as well. As you probably know, hammer usually does about the same as tempered sword damage in A Link to the Past, although getting used to its swing animation can present with some problems even with that early game power. Both our players going directly into Blind's hut, staying pretty neck and neck with each other. Cross picking up another bomb drop from a tree pool. It's going to have a few extras. And speak of the boots, and they shall appear. A flute as well. And a sword. What a great early game starter kit for these folks.
The seed is crazy friendly, and I love it.
Well, what appears to be a blessing in the beginning can also be a curse. It really depends. You get a lot of progression early on. It can really cloud, what the next step is if you have a lot of locations to choose from. But so far, not too many. Mostly convenience items. Speaking of, there's another one: silvers for Cross. And silvers for Amarith as well. A spring ball.
It's my personal favorite Super Metroid item.
Oh, it's a great movement item. And one that is sorely underused given its location in the vanilla game. Gets a lot more love in the randomizer. And we're getting simultaneous duck summons here. Get your 07s in chat.
We saw a very brief map check there from Cross. I think Eastern was a red crystal, but we'll have to get that again. There it is. So
I also saw
right,
red.
Like pendant
yeah.
and desert.
Yep, and a standard blue crystal at Hera. Both players checking out Chicken Hut. Amarith being brave and tossing a chicken into the blast. You can accidentally soft lock yourself there in some cases. I no longer grab chickens in Chicken Hut for that very reason.
I still do it to this day. I just love tossing the chicken in the next room with me.
Amarith gonna go ahead and buy into an extra 10 bombs. Not going to have to worry about that later. That could be a smart routing choice. Cross may opt to save the rupees instead. And Cross gonna do some memeing in the bar. Just a piece of heart in the library, so far those boots have not led us to any new information yet. There is the possibility that we will find something in Bonk Rocks, or perhaps the boots will lead us somewhere else. Perhaps desert later on, but we're still missing a few items for that. Both players fluting effectively and routing really well so far. Amarith picking up the cape in the dam.
Yeah, it's a great flute utilization. With the money at this time too, we might actually see a save and quit after they finish up some routing. Potentially a Zora play after doing a picking up some extra rupees. You think?
Perhaps. One screen to the right on the next world tile over, there is another crab with red rupees for them to farm as well. We'll see if Amarith goes for that. Looks like they're going to move straight on to Mini Moldworm Cave. We'll see if Cross stops. Cross also electing not to stop. I'm a little bit surprised that neither one chose to, given that with the boots, there is some definite fake flippering shenanigans that they could set up from here, although having the flute means that they have pretty convenient access back to that fake flipper anytime they want, so may just be electing to come back to that later.
And we're just getting some minor ammo here and a little bit of rupees, so nothing too exciting yet.
Amarith charging on to the right. I have to be a little bit careful of the crabs here. They do normally do 2 hearts worth of damage, but with that mail upgrade, they'll be doing slightly less and feeling pretty confident dashing on through. Oh, and Cross set up his fake flipper immediately from the Mini Moldworm Cave. Very nice routing play, but Amarith getting a little bit of payoff from the Ice Rod Cave and picking up a second sword upgrade immediately. So that's something they will have over Cross. Meanwhile, Cross checking out the man under the bridge, only getting 20 rupees there. And looking like Amarith is going to set up a traditional fake flipper here. So, Amarith, what you can only do by jumping into the water in a downwards direction after it's set up. Although I'm surprised he did take that to Old Man under the bridge, and when you come out of the water, you lose that that water walking state. Now Cross is going to go ahead and route in the Houlihan play, picking up 225 rupees here. Looks like he wants to take his next fake flipper directly to Zora.
I definitely like that play for sure. He did skip Bonk Rocks, though, while he was up there, so he did kind of miss that out. Probably route that in later for sure. Quickly making a play here over to Eastern side. I like this. We're just going to get that cleared out.
And I think in order to set up the Houlihan play the way that he did, I don't think he could check Bonk Rocks, at least not with the kind of routing that he did there, setting it up directly from Sanctuary.
Yep, using the boots there, you can't check that, but you can get that later for sure. If he did the cave method, which would be a little slower, he could definitely do that, but
yeah,
not big on his priority list. He can mount that in later. We did see Amarith get it, and it looked like it was a pack of supers, so good to have, but nothing critical yet.
Yeah, so definitely wondering if those boots are leading to anything, or if they're just going to be a great convenience to our runners. Probably in the back of both of their minds at this point. Both players at this point have checked out Sash's closet full of goodies, and heading into Eastern, 3 items in Eastern. We'll see what kind of order we get here.
Looks like we got a heart container here for saving the old man from the cave. Great use of the sword as a guide through there, just to walk that. Looks like we're going to get the checks up top as well. We'll see what those are in just a moment.
And Amarith declining to go immediately to high jump room for the single item check there. A lot more common when you find the morph ball early, but for now going to forego that in favor of these spectacle rock checks. Meanwhile, Cross has picked up 2 items. Amarith going to go ahead and use that flute and find the speed booster on Desert Ledge. This sounds familiar.
That is very much familiar, and that's great knowledge as well, knowing where that is. That could come into play later for routing options, as well as knowing what we're going to access.
Going to loop in Agina's Cave as well with that. Meanwhile, Cross doing their own first dark room in Eastern, going to pick up a key on the right side of the room here. More power bombs at Agina's Cave.
Never a bad thing at this point, especially since we haven't seen morph bombs.
I'm thinking we've got 10 and 10, although each found their second pack in different places here. Cross finding his second pack in Eastern.
Yep, that's what I've got for my count as well.
Cross gonna go ahead and get healthy to set up picking up this treasure chest, and there's the big key. So Cross has got one last chance. He's either going to find the compass or the last item in Eastern at the big chest here, left on Armos Knights. But they're eventually going to have to circle back around and grab that anyway, as Eastern is a crystal, which will be required for them to finish.
The nice thing too, Amarith did pick up the information there, knowing that Skull Woods is our green pendant, so both of our runners do have that information, which may make a routing decision later just to dip in and get the items or do a quick clear for it.
Looking like Cross is going to go ahead and find their Master Sword here as well. And Cross in a position to go ahead and not only check the waterfall cave, but also Zora as well afterwards. Zora going to remain out of logic for a little bit longer as well, going to require at least the gloves or the flippers to get to that point. But very efficient routing, particularly if he does not have to return for the scoutable item on the ledge.
I believe Amarith saw that earlier during their fake flipper. I want to say it was ammo. I want to say it was a super missile, but I can't recall.
And at this point, where you really don't have too much direction as to what your next step should be, might be fearing what that Zora check is going to be in the back of their mind. You were right, super missiles there. So Cross gonna get the full follow through here today. Are we gonna get a life lesson? Oh my. Yep, there's some progression. So that holding off on Zora until later for the rupees really paying off for Cross there. He now has Dark World access, although he will need a Moon Pearl before he can effectively make any checks in Dark World.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sinus, but logically, how would he have gotten there?
Like I said, so far, there's nothing in the logic that leads them to the glove, so that is out of logic currently. So my guess is either we're going to find a set of flippers or a different glove somewhere else nearby. Speaking of, one of the places it could certainly appear is here in Escape. Not necessarily the back of Escape, as this required a glove to get to, but front of Escape, very open with the weapon set that they currently have. And Cross doing the rear of Escape first is going to have a little bit of extra knowledge and some favorable routing here. So knowing that he picked up a key, and I don't think that he saw a map in the back. I know it was an item and a key, but I can't remember what the middle one was. But if he has not seen the map yet, he may have some information about what the item at Dark Cross is once he gets to Zelda's cell.
Amarith is hot on Cross's heels, entering the front of the escape sequence here. There's the map, so there's definitely something in Dark Cross, and Cross did forget to get that key.
He may be intentionally leaving behind. I'm not sure. I don't think that he... Oh my, yeah, he does need another key, doesn't he?
Absolutely. He needs at least one to get down there, because he just used the one on the door.
Oh no, he's setting up like he wants to go to Dark Cross as well. And unfortunately, he's slain that enemy who was going to kill him, but now he's going to use a bomb instead.
Oh no. Yep, he definitely just misgrabbed that key and forgot about it. So looks like he's going to go back to the front, and hopefully he realizes it before he gets down there. So it's going to allow a lead shift change here from Amarith, especially since they've already done Desert. They're going to realize there's something in Dark Cross, I could go get it. Looks like they're also setting up for a death warp here.
Yeah, so I think that Cross might be okay going from the front here. He would only have needed that key to get through the back.
You are right. I forgot about that.
Yep. So thanks for the assist, Falcon and Asder in chat.
Never bad to find a heart container. Unfortunately, probably not what he wanted to see at this point.
And given the number of Link to the Past items that we've seen so far here, I'm thinking that whatever we find next is probably going to keep us in Link to the Past, although all it would really take is a Morph Ball to put us in SM.
I'm almost confident we actually need to go to SM. It's either on Morph Ball spot or at High Jump Boot location. But I'm trying to think what they actually have left in Link to the Past, because both of these checks that like Cross just did, Amarith already saw.
Yep.
And we know Amarith already saw Bonk Rocks as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it's going to be in the high jump location. Otherwise, why would we have been given the flute with that glove still being out of the logic? So that's my guess. We'll see if either of our runners pick up on that and choose to check that first. But that's my guess.
But what if it's at the Morph Ball spot?
Then sometimes you just get randoed.
And we see Cross now making his way in here to save the old man. And it looks like Amarith is potentially setting up for a Houlihan. Yes.
Yep. There is one other place we could find some progression. Oh, just kidding. We don't have a lamp.
There you go. Yeah, I can't think of anything. So it's got to be in Super Metroid. It's got to be one of those two locations.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is, will Cross opt to go check it first before going up and checking the Spec Rock items? He will not. Can't blame him. Density check and all.
Yep. Alright, we'll see if Cross hops right down to the upper North Fair. It looks like that's what he's going to do.
And there's our lamp.
Oh no! And Cross unfortunately missing the enemy and going to be stuck waiting for it to come back around so that they can exit that gray door. Because Cross definitely wants to hang on to that lamp.
Absolutely. Amarith did just take their visit to Zora and found their glove.
Mm-hmm. But yep, looking like definitely with both a Master Sword and a cape and the lamp, looking like an Agaseed. Although I certainly would not blame Cross for wanting to check the Morph Ball ped first, because it's a solid 5 to 8 minute investment doing the Aghanim's Tower.
Absolutely. And I know from multi-worlds and such that I've done with Cross, he hates doing Aga, especially if you can avoid it. And you're laughing because you know also from experience.
Oh, yes.
So he will definitely check that last here, and we will absolutely see what is on the Morph Balls.
So, in my own experience, checking this morph ball location is about a 2-minute investment. Probably a little bit less than that, actually, if you reset it and don't find anything down here. The other possibility is that Cross could get bailed out with the ceiling item in Blue Brinstar, which is, while it's not in logic, in the normal logic, finding something like a moon pearl there could be a huge bailout that allows them to skip Aghanim.
Absolutely. It looks like Amarith also missed killing the enemy in there, so he's got to wait for it to come back.
So just a blue rupee there on the morph ball pedestal. So Cross definitely checking that extra item, though. Smart play, although very, very unlikely that they'll be bailed out by this. Yep.
Oh.
So there it is. Our fate is sealed, everyone.
Hope you like Aga fights, because that's where we're going. So now, tell me, Zinus, what do you think? We've got Aga in play. We know the item is just missiles, but what if we just get the best rando? What if we get a ped seed on top of Aga? How does that sound to you?
That sounds like a chat's dream, if you ask me. So let's think about what is likely to be here. We've got a couple of options for Pyramid Ledge, right? We could have... I think the Moon Pearl is pretty unlikely, given that glove is still out of logic. But something like Screw Attack or Morph Ball seem pretty likely to be there.
I completely agree with you there.
And Amarith making a similar play to Cross, just a bit shadowing, actually. Gonna go down and get the disappointing news as well.
I can't blame anyone for making that call. I don't know anyone who actually says they enjoy doing Aga.
I have to say, I'm not overly familiar with Amarith as a runner, but so far, she's doing a pretty great job of keeping up with Cross. Cross has made some efficient routing decisions that have given him a pretty good edge, but Amarith showing some technique in despite that routing, helping her keep up. And while we've got this long climb to the top that I'm sure many of the folks in this channel are familiar with, I'm going to go ahead and plug our sponsor, Rank 1 Gaming, who has supplied some prize money for this tournament, actually. There are several, I believe, 4 cash prizes for the top finishers. So thank you very much to Rank 1 for sponsoring this tournament. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. If you haven't checked out rank1.global, please go ahead and take a look. They're a great way to set up a profile for yourself, as well as share some of your favorite games, clips, and more, as well as a great way to let people know what you're playing and what you're doing. That's rank1.global.
And unfortunately, Amarith is taking the long way back up the shaft here and probably losing a little bit of time. Not too much, but may have been able to take advantage of this randomizer's reset to the ship option. Speaking of which, we are playing on version 11, which means that the soft reset has been implemented. So the LR select and start will send you back to the ship in Super Metroid. Be careful though, make sure you've saved recently.
It's a great implementation that was added to version 11. I personally am really happy to have that as a feature. I know not a lot of runners have actually realized that that was put in, so please utilize that for routing, guys. It's awesome. It'll go fast. I promise.
Cross whistling in frustration at the Aghanim. Blue balls just got 3 in a row. How unfortunate.
That is definitely rough, and I've been there.
Just the opposite, my demo man. I very much doubt that Moon Pearl will be there. There are a couple of other options, although having Dark World access through Aga 1 means that the Moon Pearl could certainly be there. It's one of the options. But it does not necessarily have to be the Moon Pearl, but we're going to find out.
It's okay. We'll see the Super Metroid Moon Pearl. Oh, he's not even giving us the preview! It's a book!
My.
We're going to desert! We're going to Pendant Desert, chat!
So that's going to lead us to our speed booster, which will likely make our next big progression item somewhere in Green Bryn. Or Pink Bryn, perhaps. One of the two.
What you're saying is, we're taking the links to Brinstar.
No, I would not say that. You can say that all you want. I refuse to say that. So it's certainly possible we could find something on the torch here, but it seems just as likely that Speed Booster is going to be the item that opens up progression. So far, very linear seed. Cross gonna find a key immediately and take that off to the right. This is pretty smart routing so that he can take care of the entire right side. He knows that either the big key is going to be in here or he's going to fetch it on his way back to the left and reduce the amount of time he wastes in other sections of desert.
Absolutely. There's the big key on this side, so really good call to come over here first. Going to be able to check that torch item, get that big key chest, go down and get a speed booster. The real question here is, do you think, if he only finds one item, for sure you'd think he'd go to the back, right? He'd clear it out.
Well, that depends. I mean, that glove is still out of logic, so it seems less likely to me that there would be an item, and I kind of doubt that. I mean, it's an efficiency versus versus logic argument here, right? So the efficiency argument is you don't ever want to come back to desert to have to do that. But the routing argument is that those gloves are still out of logic. It seems a lot less likely that you would have something important there.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I just blinked. Did Cross not check torch room?
I don't know. Did he check torch room?
I blinked. I don't think he checked torch room.
What do you think, chat? Did you guys see it?
We're getting the out of logic play here, so I don't know if he checked it. He might have gone in. Like I said, I blinked. He might have just gone in and saw something and then walked out, but looks like we did get confirmation that he did not check it. Thank you for our wonderful tracker, 5D100. Now I don't think this is terrible. I still think you should have checked it first, but at the same time, it is possible. Like, like I said, we could have the chat dream here. This could be pedestal as well, but again, we don't have that information. We do have a book, so that might have also been why he's just going to take the time to do this, because, you know, Skullwoods is green. Skullwoods is pretty quick if you're just going to full clear it.
Nelsonda, the gloves were on Zora of all places, which is currently out of logic for our runners, because you would need the gloves or the flippers. Amarith, having scouted that speed booster, is going to strongly suspect that that's what's going to be the next breadcrumb in this seed. Perhaps we'll get a torch glimpse from Amarith here instead, see what that is. There is a possibility of something being there, given that we do have the boots. That hasn't led to anything necessarily yet, and it's not that it has to, but it could.
Wait a minute. Map, compass, big key. There's an item on the torch.
Yep.
And Cross just noped out of it.
Well, we'll find out how much that mistake is going to cost him if Amarith checks it here. Now, Cross, already having checked the bottom of Blue Brinstar, it seemed less likely that he would be heading back down there, but he's headed back down there right now again.
Thank you, Amarith, for showing us that it was a shield. So Cross is going to get bailed out by that.
Yep. Anything can happen in Rando, though, folks. Stay tuned.
Is he going to set up for... He is.
It looks like Cross wants to use the speed booster to check out under Old Mother Brain here, which is not an easy trick. Not only do you have to get a short charge going here, but getting it and stopping at just the right time and keeping your momentum with the blue suit in order to clear these blocks is certainly not something that I've mastered, but Cross can do some serious wizardry with blue suits and speed boosters, as anyone who's familiar with his channel will tell you.
That is definitely one way to put the shenanigans that he can do with blue suits and speed booster, especially without the speed booster. Looks like he didn't want to keep the bomb capacity there, just decided to reset out of there. Probably going to make his way through and check a couple more locations.
Yeah, and that check was out of logic in normal mode for certain, although it could have yielded something. You don't know until you check it. Although I personally, you know, if he's headed to green and pink Brinstar here, if he finds the morph ball, then Old Mother Brain routes very, very nicely for him out of that anyway. So I'm not sure that I agree with that early check, but I do agree with showing off the skills that you got. So bravo, Cross.
Absolutely. I love showcasing good skills and seeing our runners put off high skill set. Speaking of, if you are loving and enjoying the show that these runners are putting on for you, please give them a follow.
Yep. How many E-tanks for the first term of Gauntlet? It's not in logic with just the speed booster on normal, unfortunately, because it is a one-way trip. You could still check it, but you wouldn't be able to get out.
Ooh, we saw Spazer.
We'll see if Cross picks up the meme beam.
He's gonna pick that up. That's probably his personal favorite in terms of items, the high jump boots. He loves the extra jump height. I know I'm personally a fan of them as well.
I like high jump boots as well, but I like to find them just a hair later, just because when you're trying to set up some of the trickier wall jumps and things early on in Brinstar, they can actually make them slightly more difficult for very, very limited number of instances. But that's certainly not going to slow down a good runner like Cross.
Absolutely. Interesting that he took a save here. I wonder if he's going to go back up and he is going to grab that space, or he's going to try to make sure he gets a fast fall and a quick jump out to save the block.
So getting the quick fall and hopping right out of there. Well done, Cross. First
Beautiful.
try.
Beautiful
Easy every
execution.
time.
Beautiful execution.
And that's a slightly more difficult quick fall than usual, just because he got that low ceiling overhead. But the high jump boots are going to make his exit a little bit easier because you accelerate in the air a little bit faster.
Nothing exciting up top there, so we're running out of locations, at least in this area. There's our Moon Pearl.
So that's going to lead Cross into Dark World, but remember that those gloves are still out of logic, so this may dictate how Cross routes Dark World, because without the gloves, you would have to enter Dark World through the pyramid area. He does have the hammer, though, and that's completely in logic, so that gives him pretty much full access, so really having broken those gloves early are just going to give him a more convenient, quicker way to check some of the more dense locations in Dark World. I would be surprised if he does anything other than Hype Cave first. And Amarith having a little bit of trouble, unfortunately, with the speed booster tech here required to get over to Green Bryn. It looks like she's opting to charge a Shine Spark and carry it into Parlor here. And looking like Cross not going to check Hype Cave immediately. He's going to take the proper logical entry into Dark World here. And I think Amarith can just use a horizontal spark once they're up on the hill there, and I think the terrain will force you directly into the blocks that you need to break. There we go.
Oh, just too high. I think you have to clear it.
Yeah.
I think the top part's just a little bit too high, and it pushes you up into the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. There we go, and Amarith is finally heading into Green Brinstar. And going to pick up their Moon Pearl. What a convoluted way to get this seed started. Cross giving us a map check.
Meyer is the other pendant. Okay.
And the other red crystal is going to be Turtle Rock. So again, Meyer was our third pendant, and our second red crystal was Turtle Rock. Everything else is blue crystals. And now Cross looking like they're going to be checking out Hype Cave. I wasn't sure after he finished up Trollfish there if he was going to head straight for Pod. Pod's kind of a janky play right now. Just without the bow, they would potentially get key locked on the first check in Pod. So I definitely agree with this play. And there's the flippers immediately. So Cross's glove is now back in logic. And Cross going to go ahead and head directly to Village of Outcasts here. He does have the book, so I wonder if he's going to check Ped first to see if that desert pendant was anything. And it's almost like he heard me. It looked like he was going to go directly to Village of Outcasts and changed his mind at the last possible second. Was like, let's go ahead and look at this.
I was absolutely just going to point that out too, because as you were saying it, he turned and 10 shots with your bow.
So, Ped is dead, everyone.
I'm sorry, chat. I tried really hard.
I'm not sorry, chat. Ped is awful.
To be fair, you're not running this. It's perfectly good.
Hey, you know, the next time I do run, I don't want a commentator's curse myself.
It doesn't work like that.
And Cross opting to head directly for Village of Outcasts, not going to dip Skullwoods first. There are potentially two items available in Skullwood, but as few as 0. They could both be in the backlock behind Fire Rod, so not necessarily a bad play by any means to put that off until a little bit later. Playing the odds here. Oh no, Amarith takes a fall down into the Decora's room and is going to fortunately has more than enough energy to get out there, but gonna set them back a little bit on time. Taking their time to line up and make sure that they don't get stuck in the bombable blocks there. Definitely smart to make sure that they got through that safely. You can wiggle out to the right if you are familiar with the technique, but it is time consuming as well to do that. Cross picking up the Sank Heart in Blind's hideout here. Sorry, Thieves Town, that's what it's called. The Sank Heart is the only full heart container that is going to completely refill your hearts when you find it. That's how you know you found it. And Cross picking up the key to the basement here as well. There's only one key in a chest in Thieves Town, and it unlocks or puts into logic the big chest in the basement. Now, Cross has got the hammer, so that's no problem to check. It just unfortunately takes a little bit of time. Whereas if you don't find the key at all, then it can certainly be locked in the big chest as well, allowing you to completely skip that at no cost. And there's the mitts. So that was our next major progression item.
Now I'm really sad because if we find the cane relatively soon, we have flute, we have mitts, we have a red cane. Kinda could have seen how it could have been a Peds.
Alas, 'twas not to be.
I just want it, Sinus. I want it bad.
Nope. So Mitz, interestingly, puts King's Tomb into logic, and that would finally be a boots required item, potentially. Potentially.
I want Ped, you want the boots item. I see how we're playing this today.
I see. Although they're also only a Bombos or Fire Rod away from an earlier Ice Palace than we normally see.
I'm okay with that. I'll take that.
Of course, you couldn't full clear it, but still, possibly some breadcrumbs in an interesting direction. Although I'm sure at this point, almost an hour in, the runners have already had enough of interesting item layouts.
No, it's gonna keep happening. It's gonna keep happening. Like we still don't have Morph Ball. Just saying. Stumpy there having super missiles. Looks like Amarith is gonna take the back route here. Are they gonna go do digging game?
I certainly would. I like this routing here with Hype Cave going left. If you're gonna check Hype Cave and Woody Harrelson, you might as well also check digging game here. Because at this time, you have no idea when you're going to find the mitts, so you're isolating this check unless you're planning to come down through Village of Outcasts. Cross having no trouble at all taking down Blind. You know what else? Potentially, we've got breadcrumbs for Mire Shed here. We'll see how long it takes our runners to put that play in as well. Although the flute having led to the lamp might mean that that's a little bit less likely. And Cross, remembering that he has the cape, is going to go ahead and check Bumper Ledge here. Not a bad read at all. Just missiles there, though, unfortunately. So the cape is going to stay a luxury item this time. Wasn't even needed to get to Aga. Looking like Amarith might head into Skull Woods for a couple checks early. Cross finally just now going to check Bonk Rocks, and we'll see if he routes King's Tomb in with this as well. I wouldn't be surprised. These two are very commonly checked together, especially when you get boots early on and pretty quick Titan's mitts. Amarith finding the big key early on, adding an extra check to the list of possibilities. Just some super missiles in King's Tomb.
Never can go wrong with too many supers.
Amen to that. Cross heading back towards Village of Outcasts. And
there we go. Second try bomb jump from Amarith there. Finding a heart container.
And now I'm thinking Cross is going to do some side quests here in A Link to the Past. Maybe rescue the Breadsmith and do hammer pegs. Both of which opened up by that mitts check. Or that mitts find, rather.
Gotta love side quests.
Yeah, this one's unfortunate without the mirror. It just takes a lot longer, and there's a lot more saving and quitting going on.
Oh, it's okay. We're taking him on a grand adventure. We're just getting his energy revitalized. It's like a vacation for him. Okay, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Cross gonna hammer dash these pegs, take advantage of those boots. There is nothing quite so satisfying once you learn how to item dash, hammering the pegs with a hammer dash. And Cross wisely going to save and quit out of there immediately to go and drop off the breadsmith. But at the very least, he does have a little bit of expediency here in being able to take the smith via flute over here. Gonna shave some of the time off of this trip. And Amarith has Thieves' Town open, so likely gonna go in there and find their mitts as well soon, hopefully.
And speak of the devil, there's Bombos. So your early Ice Palace could come to fruition.
Oh man, I regret everything.
I don't think you do.
Is Cross making the Ice Palace read here? It's possible.
I like it. I love it.
I want some more of it.
Indeed.
He's doing it.
Well, we're getting more of it right now.
And Ice Palace is kind of gross without the hookshot here. And with such a small number of hearts, but I do think that Cross is the kind of player who can do some good bomb jumps and potentially full clear this dungeon. It's certainly, some of the bomb jumps in Ice Palace are really well known, although there have been some really cool Samaria clipped techs that have just been discovered very recently in the past couple months. That are also have changed a lot of the routing you see in Ice Palace, but without the Cane of Samaria or Hookshot, Cross is going to have to rely on good old-fashioned bombs to get really deep into this dungeon and avoid having to dive it twice. I still think I might have checked Mire Shed first, just to see if I got bailed out with a Hookshot or something to make Ice Palace a lot easier.
Completely agree with you there on the routing, but who doesn't love a good show in Ice Palace without a hook shot? Am I right, chat?
And Cross is certainly one to give us that.
I like that he actually took the time to get the extra bomb drop here.
And Cross already setting up that first bomb jump. Gonna reduce the number of motions he needs to take in this conveyor belt room, because the conveyor belt is the real boss of this dungeon.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, was a little too low on the bomb placement there, so he does have to use an extra bomb.
Amarith getting the news that the second glove was there in Thieves' Town. Gonna start playing catch up. We'll see how long it takes her to find Bombos at the Smiths when she decides to make that play, or maybe she does the Mire Shed read a little bit sooner. We'll find out. Cross gonna use bomb strats on the pen gators here.
You love to see it. You love to see it. And the nice thing, too, is he did have that key coming into here, so he is going to be able to get all the items here on the right side. Just going to have to do a little bit of tech work there to get to Ice Tea Room.
So far, a whole lot of nothing from Ice Palace. Still a lot left to go, though. And Cross really has no safety net here. He has no powder, he has no cane plus mushroom, no potions, no fairies, nothing. So he's going to have to make his own luck to get through the rest of Ice Palace here. And he's very much in a vanilla or less condition coming through this dungeon compared to the original game. Amarith now on the board with their first crystal from Thieves Town as well. And Cross getting the big key from Ice-T. And almost gets the bonk over the fire bar there. Maybe just a hair on the early side. And Cross gonna need to do a bomb jump here to make sure not only that he collects this chest in the room from defeating both the enemies, but also without the hookshot is going to have to take the vanilla route down to the big chest. And that's at least 2 items for Cross in Ice Palace. There's the third, so while Ice Palace was in logic pretty quickly with all those items, it did not pay off. But still, I think a decent read by Cross, trying to read the logic of the seed and the breadcrumbs that it left. It certainly seemed like a possibility. He's going to go down and kill Cold Stare, though, and come away with a crystal. So, not much lost for what was gained.
That's absolutely true. He does need to be careful, though. Only has 4 hearts with the blue mail, so he does have a little bit of added defense, but still don't want to touch the cotton candy boss here.
Yeah, and those eyeballs are really going to hurt. Some of the falling ice crystals, not too bad. Oh, and he misses the setup to try and get them all in the corner, which is going to make his job a lot laggier and a lot more difficult for the remainder of the fight.
Got a nice hit there, double hit from the spin.
And Cross opting to take some ice damage there. I'm not sure if it was intentional to avoid damage from the eye, but that's the way it turned out. Easy does it, Cross. Amarith has made the call to pick up the Dwarven Breadsmith and is going to find her Bombos as well. We'll see if she makes the same play to ice immediately afterwards.
All right, that is 2 cotton candies down. We've just got 1 more.
And the blast of one of the eyeballs obfuscating the location of the other one, causing Cross to miss a little bit, but he recovers nicely, and now is completely done with Ice Palace. No need to ever look back. Amarith returning to Dark World here, possibly looking at going to go check the Cape Ledge item. Nope, gonna opt to head to the south part of Dark World. And gonna do hammer pegs and, oh, and purple chest here. Going to double down on the side quest chain. And now Cross heading to Mireshed, it looks like. And it would not surprise me at all to see Cross dip lower Norfair here for the 1 item near GT. He's also going to get some information on the medallion required for Mire.
There is exactly what you wanted. So you wanted that early shed. There it was. Take an Ice Beam, take our Morph Ball, have the entire universe that is Metroid. There you go, my friend.
Oh my gosh, and Amarith, the double down potentially paying off there. Picking up Ether
Ooh.
from Purple Chest. That could be something. Oh no, Cross is almost out of energy. He doesn't have time to Crystal Flash. Fortunately, he does save when he transitions, so he's going to get to keep that Morph Ball here.
Do you think that was potentially part of his routing plan? Do you think he actually remembered how much energy he had?
The inner workings of Cross's mind are too nebulous for one to predict.
Which means no, he didn't remember. Got it.
And Amarith getting a good read on the Morph Ball as well. And going to elect to actually dip Pendant Mire here.
Now, I like this play because you can just get it taken care of. You can find the 2 items in there. Hopefully they're in the first half, and then you can get out. It's a good play. Honestly, can't blame him for doing it. Just going to clear everything out of the area. That way, then all you have left is checkerboard, which is currently mirror locked.
And I see this from potentially the efficiency standpoint that you're talking about, but man, picking up Morph Ball, it seems like the potential for finding something in Mire is almost nil. But perhaps it is part of Amarith's strategy to do checks that she thinks that Cross may not get to for a long time. Hence the purple chest there as well. But also, Amarith doesn't have the pedestal knowledge here either, so in her mind, it could still be a ped seed. Cross has that knowledge and probably makes him a lot less likely to dip this for 2 items when he knows that pedestal is not a viable 3rd item that comes from it.
Absolutely. Just pieces of heart here at the back of the gauntlet. Nothing too exciting, but Cross is going to opt to pick those up.
Cross going to refill on some power bombs here. 20 power bombs is really comfy for Retro Bryn Loop, but him being down around 14 right now, almost no reason not to stop and pick those up. Although the farm is slightly faster at the bugs near Edicoons.
Yeah, more than likely he's just picking it up just to supply himself on the route. Probably won't opt to farm the bugs at Edicoons. We'll just do the one loop they're going in.
Amarith finds missiles there in Mire. I'm not sure if she found a second item in Mire, or maybe it was her plan all along just to do some of those really quick checks in the beginning. And there we have our 3rd medallion found behind the speed booster in... behind the reserve tank from Green Bryn. And looking like Amarith gonna head into Super Metroid as well. I actually really like, rather than resetting to Super Metroid, I kind of like this play, although I had expected her to check the missile location there as she came through as a matter of routing. That with Bomb Terizo can make your routing a little bit more efficient when you're doing the Retro Bryn loop. But opting to fill up at the ship first before diving all of these items in Brinstar. Cross taking some damage boosts through here, and at 2 E-Tanks, you gotta think that he's pretty confident in his abilities here, because there are some large side hoppers in Green Brinstar that can really ruin your day with only Power Suit and a couple E-Tanks.
Something that won't ruin your day, though, is finding that hook shot. I can guarantee you Cross is feeling really good about that one. Absolutely.
And that gives him access to East Death Mountain, all of it from top to bottom. And Amarith finds the space jump at Criteria Peebs unfortunately takes a spike and right down into the acid, just getting hit with it twice, unfortunately. And but it looks like she saved at the ship, so not really going to lose any time here. Gets to go and pick that up immediately and get right back on track. So that's not going to hurt her too much at all. Cross setting up Spore Skip here. Nicely done. Mega Man 31689, thank you very much for the subscription to SpeedGaming for 16 months. X-ray scope. And we'll see if Cross gets to pick up a charge and plasma beam to complete X-ray's usefulness. Amarith looking at Gauntlet as well now, and hopefully going to have an easier time of it with Space Jump available to them. And Cross picking up some extra energy just in case, because he knows he's going into a room with large side hoppers here, going for a very swaggy speed booster strat. I've never seen that before. Unfortunately, bumps his head right on the door frame and loses his blue suit as he goes through, but ends up taking damage from a small side hopper and negating the possibility of being hit with, I think it's 120 energy worth of damage from that big side hopper on Power Suit. And Amarith just barely clearing as those blocks respawn. And there's our first bottle of the seed. And really, there's nothing finer whenever you are doing a retro Bryn loop than having the speed booster. It gives you the peace of mind knowing that you can clear everything in green and pink Bryn if you have Morph Ball as well as the ammo and the speed booster. You don't have to leave anything behind. Amarith, unfortunately, gets shut out of the left side here of Gauntlet, but not going to be penalized for that at all. And going to scorn those two power bomb drops from the bugs there on their way out of Gauntlet. Remembering that they checked Terminator earlier on their way to find the Moon Pearl, going to continue straight on to Green Bryn. Ooh, and Cross trying some ceiling clip shenanigans, one of my favorite tricks. Had enough of that already, though. Gonna power bomb on out. It is possible to situate yourself just right with an angle jump there and clip through those blocks, similar to Wrecked Ship. Wrecked Ship is a lot easier and a lot more common because you can see yourself and it's an extremely consistent setup. But that escape is a lot harder, especially since you can't see what you're doing.
Cross opting to farm up some energy here just to make sure that he doesn't get bodied by the side hopper right here, because that definitely is something that happens.
And is Cross gonna go for a speed ball or a blue ball strat here?
You bet he is.
This is pretty tight. It looks like he got it. Yeah, very nice second try. I think that one can be done with a really tight 2-tap short charge, but it's much easier with the stutter, especially if you can do a stutter 3. It gives you the most room.
There we go, a 30 tank. Now we're feeling good. Having reserve tanks are always nice, but having just that extra just right there on hand that you know you're guaranteed for is really good.
And Cross picking up some spare power bombs here. Potentially thinking about sequence breaking Lower Norfair, as he is known to do, a well-known RBO runner. But he's going to go ahead and take a Shine Spark up here. Not worried about his energy situation for checking shaft supers afterwards. Unfortunately, those high jump boosts, this is one of those checks that is made a little bit more difficult with high jump boots. Gets it on the second try, but unfortunately takes a spike for his troubles. Billy Mays not offering anything really new, but some nice quality of life stuff.
One can never have too many power bombs.
And Amarith gonna keep the cute animals on the screen the whole way up. Adorable. They led her to the hook shot. Wonderful.
I've never actually seen them go up the shaft. That was adorable.
One of them, actually, all three of them will climb to the top. One of them will do a running little flippy into that little item location as a hint in the vanilla game. And it will jump there until you pick up the item.
Well, I just want you in chat to know after this race I will be going to confirm that, so thank you.
And unfortunately, since Cross reset this check earlier, having missed that pirate on the way, has to go back for it because the gray door was remained locked until he killed it. Ice Beam makes this check pretty trivial, but Cross going for a really great deboost strategy to get through their very efficient room. So there are a number of different ways to go about that. Oh, nice. And Cross setting up a mock ball and another damage boost to help him get through there. I think you can do it with only taking spike damage once, but it's quite difficult. Using both the spring ball and damage boost to get across there very handily and very safely. Didn't quite get the mock ball on the way out, but does get a very nice transition. He's probably going to check out, Cross is going to check out Bomb Terizo here, and probably he's got a choice to make here, right? So Wreck Ship is certainly in logic, even with just the speed booster not having found the space jump yet. So hopefully Cross is going to check criteria, power bombs, and find that space jump. But has a decision to make afterwards whether he wants to head down Red Bryn towards Kraid, or if he wants to loop in Wreck Ship and Fantoon now. Or even another alternative, skip all of that altogether and head back to A Link to the Past, probably checking out East Death Mountain.
That's what I imagine he's doing right now. Personally, I would have agreed with you going over to Wreck Ship and just getting that cleared out right now while you're up there, and then doing a sequence down Red Tower. But I do like this play with all the checks up here, because not only do we have East Death Mountain, but we've also got Dark Death Mountain on that side as well that we can check.
I think the most optimal routing here, in hindsight, and it's very, very difficult to think and route as you go, right? It's almost always when you review things or like 20 minutes later, really talented runners are routing as they go, right? And making decisions based on what they find. But I think the best possible route in hindsight was as soon as Cross picked up that hook shot, heading down and taking out Kraid, checking high jump, coming out here on Death Mountain and checking out East Death Mountain, and then closing up Bryn Loop with Retro Bryn and Red Bryn later along with Rex Ship. That probably would have been very, very efficient routing overall. But Cross not having had the space jump, it would have felt pretty bad to leave the X-ray check behind.
That's very true. I will say this, though. After everything we saw here, East Death Mountain was loaded. You've got your Plasma. You've got Half Magic. You've got Tempered. I'm feeling great about that check.
Certainly. Got some really nice quality of life items there, but nothing that necessarily indicates progression. But there's still plenty of checks left to go. He's got access to Hera, Ether Tablet, Spiral Cave, not to mention all of Dark Death Mountain as well.
Don't forget the tablet.
I think I said Ether Tablet. If not, good call. But Cross making definitely the right call from a routing perspective here. Gonna come over, take care of Ether Tablet and Hera before checking out what's the one I'm thinking of? I just mentioned it, Spiral Cave, and probably going to lead that directly into East Dark Death Mountain checks immediately afterwards. Without the mirror, you're really limited in your options, and if you make a mistake in routing, it can cause you to have to save and quit and waste precious time returning to the checks that you missed. But so very good call on efficiency of routing by Cross here.
Now the big key is in the basement, and he is gonna go down here and get it.
Looks like Cross might be setting up a death warp here.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
Amarith having a little bit of trouble with this waterway check. Definitely has plans. Power suit.
And there's that death warp that we were talking about after getting the big key. So we're going to take him right back to the front of the dungeon here. And Cross is going to make his way up.
And this waterway check is absolutely in logic. You have just enough room to charge a Shine Spark here without any tech other than what is demonstrated to you in the demo with Shine Sparks. So I don't know about you, Gozen, but the way that I kind of mash through this waterway check is I charge my Shine Spark, I get right up against that wall there, I press A to hop, and then I kind of mash my A button to get that Shine Spark going, and hold left once I'm in the air and it's activated. Cross getting the gravity suit from Hera, so that was what our hookshot has led us to. Opening up a much safer Super Metroid game and possibly some progression in Meridia. Now Cross has seen both items here in Tower of Hera, and unfortunately trying to dash through that bumper gets trolled a little bit and takes a fall, but at the same time very smartly realizes that he does not have to check the big chest or waste any time on that. And there's another crystal in the books for Cross. He's up 3-1 on Amarith right now. Although, notably, neither has any bosses down in Super Metroid yet. So Cross going to go back here and likely check Spiral Cave and then start doing those dark East Death Mountain checks. Just so. Amarith might be fretting her energy situation here a little bit with the checks that she has remaining to do. Also, her number of power bombs definitely does not want to get trapped in Shaft Supers here.
Thankfully, when she goes over there, won't have that issue because there is a power bomb pack, if memory serves, at the base and then up in Billy Mays as well.
Yep. And also an energy tank refill there as well. Just could not be more convenient timing. Betting we're also going to get a pendant read on Turtle Rock from Cross here as well.
No reason not to get that info. As we know where all three are, but Cross currently only having 2 of our hints here.
Yep, we will see if Ether is going to provide any sort of advantage to Amarith in the long run. Cross not finding anything in Super Bunny. I didn't see what was on Floating Island. And there it is. Turtle Rock is Quake. So unfortunately, that Ether that Amarith went out of her way to get is not going to pay off. That's a real shame, because that was a heads-up play on her part. And I am really curious to see if those slightly longer side quest checks were part of her plan to maybe do something that she thought Cross wouldn't do. Cross not really getting any help there from Hookshot Cave, unfortunately. But picking up the gravity suit probably got all of the information that they needed out of that hookshot.
I'm a little surprised he didn't opt to exit Hookshot Cave and go back over to Spike Cave to get that cleared out while he's up there, since we do have gloves and a hammer and the hookshot.
That is a possibility, but Spike Cave fortunately routes very easily into a lot of other, it's right by the old man on the mountain. So very easy to get back to, but also a very commonly forgotten check. So hopefully Cross will not forget to check that a little bit later. Many a race has been decided based on people on decisions on whether or not to check Spike Cave, or even not a decision but forgetting to check Spike Cave. So hopefully that won't be the case here. Cross getting that space jump from power bombs in the sky above the ship. And Cross feeling pretty good about their missile count at this point. Just gonna hop right over that mode item. A nice mock ball and spring ball out of there. Amarith is going to farm up. For what, I'm not really sure. Whether they're planning on heading down to Kraid or planning on heading up Red Tower. Both things we haven't seen yet. Cross gonna opt to pick up that red boomerang, giving him some strats later on in the seed. Giving him access to some strats later on in the seed, rather. And that Covern being a total jerk and eating a super missile from Cross. That's the second time that Covern has trolled him in the past 3 days. I can't wait to let him have it for that. But getting a nice blue ball into Fantoon's room there, saving him 1 out of 18 power bombs. Certainly not something he needed to do, but looked awesome. Bravo. Cross going to take on Fantoon here. Meanwhile, Amarith heading towards Spazer and Crane. Cross's second Doppler, unfortunately, not quite as good as his first one, but Fantoon is a tricky boss by any definition. Getting some favorable patterns here, getting him quick access back to doing some damage. And now Fantoon being a total jerk and punishing Cross for missing that opportunity, but he goes down. So that's one on the board for Cross. And not long after, Amarith will be taking down potentially her first boss, opting to take that Morph Ball and go check High Jump first, most likely. And unfortunately, that high jump check is not going to lead Amarith to any additional advantages or progression before heading to grade. But still information, you don't have to go back for it. Meanwhile, Cross going to find the mirror tucked away behind Fantoon here in Wreck Ship. A little bit unfortunate, couldn't possibly have known that he might find the mirror here, but that would have made his routing a little bit more efficient in Death Mountain, but there was absolutely no way to know how deep in the seed the mirror was going to be. And Cross with the gravity suit here is going to opt not to set up a save scum. With the gravity suit and space jump, this is an extremely safe check, and the amount of energy that he has, so it is, depending on how much you've run this room and gotten used to it, can be much more efficient with gravity suit to just check it without save scumming. Amarith gonna pick up all the quality of life items here in East Death Mountain as well. And I'll have to remember to keep an eye out on what the floating island item is on Amarith's screen here.
I believe it was 20 rupees.
Cross getting KO'd and taking a bunch of environmental damage there. Not so bueno. He's still got a pretty comfortable health margin here. And plenty of super missiles for the attic. And Cross just not having any luck with those ceiling clips today. They're all just being obstinate for him. Lots of other great tech that he's been showing off, though. And looks like he wants to save a couple more super missiles by doing some awesome space jump and speed booster strats here. Tell me, has Cross turned on his plasma beam yet?
Nope.
That also would have made that room go fast.
Ain't nobody got time for menuing.
That is something I admittedly forget all the time, which is why I never pick up Spazer. Ever.
But you gotta be crispy.
Nope. No, I don't.
Not even the meme beam?
Nope.
So unfair.
Not even once.
So unfair. Speaking of things to potentially forget, though, we do pick up the grapple beam there for Cross, and that is going to allow the Shack tool check later.
Ugh.
Though we know Cross is also very well known for being able to enter Shack tool without the grapple beam by crystal flashing if needed.
And Amarith showing off some a Link to the Past tech that I personally am not familiar with, using the pots to climb up the tower and get to the top floor very quickly.
It was a beautiful Hera pot.
And I can't remember if she's going to need the big key beyond that or not. I don't think so. I think it's just a set of stairs straight to Moldworm here.
Absolutely. She can go right up there and fight the big old worm. Troll dorm, no trolling.
Amarith picking up that that gravity suit as well, getting that information, taking down Moldworm handily, putting another crystal on the board for Amarith. Cross getting a little bit of break in the bowling alley here. Gets to take a little bit of a breather, shake it out. And there's a third bottle for our players in Wreckship. And a nice energy tank refill for Cross. That is going to be a very welcome find and allow him a lot more flexibility going forward to do some more checks without having to worry about refilling. And just picks up some missiles in the vanilla gravity suit location. So the big find in Wreckship was the mirror. Which, with Swamp being a crystal, is absolutely a mandatory item this seed. So he's going to go ahead and finish out Red Tower here. Probably take that straight down to Kraid. And check off another boss. And that could actually route quite nicely into Meridia as well. Cross has a lot of options and some really efficient routing possibilities here in Super Metroid. Amarith going to find out with the Quake Medallion, going to be able to open up Turtle Rock immediately. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do anything inside without the cane. But nonetheless, getting that information that Quake was the required medallion, and going to use that as her point of entry for Dark World. And I do believe these Red Tower checks are novel for us. I don't think we've seen any of these, but nothing of true worth being hidden there.
Nope, that was the first time seeing the top here. Cross doing some great deboosts through the room there.
Yep. Amarith doing her hookshot who can't speak? Sinus can't speak. Doing her hookshot cave checks.
It's okay, friend. Words are hard.
Words are hard.
Cross is giving us a new check here because Amarith did miss out on doing this earlier, so we will see at least the new location here with the fire rod.
No.
That's something you definitely want.
Oh, that's too bad. Because Amarith definitely refilled right below X-Ray. But Amarith also going to be doing a check that Cross missed here. Potential revenge going into Spike Cave. We'll see if she gets lucky and finds some progression that Cross might have missed.
Show us the red cane.
Amarith going to go ahead and put that cape to good use. And unfortunately only finds a piece of heart there. It was the fire rod at X-Ray. And a very nice rebound off of that crumble block, getting into Spazer, saving just frames, but looks good. Definitely not free.
Today I learned.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if with Spring Ball and High Jump you could just hold down the jump button and get out of there. But no, it looks like it is mandatory to get a wall jump out of that. Amarith now making the read to Ice Palace, which we have already seen, but Amarith having the hook shot might be able to gain a little bit of time on Cross here, having to spend a lot less time doing some tricky bomb jumps and sort of obtuse routing.
And there's our fourth bottle and the Bloomerang at Crab Supers. So, seeing some good stuff, but no reason to pick those up.
Yep, with the red Boomerang, it seems pretty unlikely that Cross will bother to stop for those. Cross gonna go check on Mama Turtle here.
Ooh, Swagnet. Always good. Now we're definitely going to be in go mode. Can't beat the game without a good old Swagnet.
And Amarith playing a little bit of hot potato with the bomb there, but still manages to get the bottom open without wasting a bomb. And Cross getting a little low on energy tanks again. Gonna be playing it fast and loose with those shine sparks, even though the space jump is available to him. Definitely the faster strat to shine spark up there, but at what cost? Hopefully not too much of one. Still plenty of E-tanks left to find as well.
That's absolutely true, but now with that Varia pickup, it can be definitely a bit more liberal there with the energy, not having to worry about it with the damage reduction. So great timing for the pickup. And that's a bow.
Yep, Meridia, definitely a great call by Cross here, and very illuminating with our logic chain here. So that hook shot led to gravity leading us to Varia and the bow. And just with the abundance of checks granted by Varia behind heat rooms, what a nice moonfall in between all the ledges there. That was pretty tricky. I moonfall on the left side because I do not have those kinds of reflexes. But with all the checks that Varia opens up, Cross probably gonna bet on the next big piece of progression in Norfair if he doesn't find it in Meridia first. So far, Meridia has been an absolute treasure trove. Speak of the devil, there's another one. There's the Ice Rod, also in Meridia.
Nice rod.
And so Cross looking to be just a red cane away from go mode in A Link to the Past. Or just a red cane away from go mode, period. He might be a little bit short on ammo. It would be really close. But he's got a lot of dungeons and a lot of checks left to make before he potentially finds that red cane or gets the rest of the way through the game. So still in a pretty comfy position.
I'm actually a little surprised he didn't set up on the right side of the room here for Botswoon. Normally, Cross sets up on the right side and just takes it out with supers with the music cue to start. So, a little curious as to what caused him to change that.
I don't know. I'm terrible at Botswoon, so I couldn't possibly tell you. Oh, are we gonna get a halfie?
Oh, let's go. Oh, not with that jump.
Nope.
Oh!
Wow.
That's tight. He's gonna get the half. Yep.
No.
Halfy half.
Still an excellent recovery, making a lot out of that Shine Spark, despite a slightly early setup.
Absolutely. Cross is putting on a killer show for us.
Meanwhile, I think Amarith is ready for Cold Stare here.
That is correct. Full cleared all the rest of Ice Palace here. With half magic, not going to have any issues firing off the quick bombos there.
Now, I'm always curious how Cross is going to kill Dragon. Cross has so many different things in his bag of tricks for fighting Dragon. It's almost different every time. Doesn't look like he's going for any speed or Shine Spark strats today. Largely probably due to his current health situation. He's just going to go for a grapple kill here.
Unfortunately, missed the quick grab there. Just a little bit off on the angle.
And Amarith with a Tempered Sword going to make extremely quick work of Cold Stare. And we are all tied up on A Link to the Past bosses now. Sorry, Groby. I think Cross is lacking the charge beam for a microwave beam here. And did Cross check the Precious Missiles item?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Did he do it beforehand? Because
Yeah.
it definitely didn't look like he did it afterwards.
Yeah, he checked it beforehand. I believe they were just missiles.
Now, Cross only being a red cane away from go mode should be interesting to see how he routes the rest of Meridia here. Whether or not he bothers to check Shack Tool and Plasma, as they are pretty out of the way and unlikely locations. I mean, they're just as likely as any other check, but less likely to hurt them in the long run.
From the routing right here, it looks like he's going to go back, make a save, and check sand pits. He might even just opt to do the one sand pit and then just leave. But more than likely, it'll be a down Shack Tool up to Plasma potentially. But I know from routing discussions with him about how to handle this, normally you would check Plasma and then go down. So I'm thinking Cross forgot that he has Plasma.
And Speed Booster, and a number of other ways to get through that room. But Plasma certainly being the one that puts it in logic right now.
$20 buckaroos and bombs and a quick reset. Yep. So definitely going to get both sand pits here checked. And then I would imagine a Shack Tool check afterwards.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on where you want to exit Meridia, right? So I can see the play that he's trying to make here, checking one sand pit, then potentially he's going to go down this sand pit. You could check Shack Tool immediately after, loop up to Plasma, and then come out in Dark World at Dark Ice Rod Cave-ish if you were going that route. But we will see if he decides to do that, or if he's just going to nope out after Shack Tool and head towards Kraid. I guess the other obstacle to Microwave Beam is Cross has to realize that he has plasmas. At some point, maybe before Mother Brain, he'll turn it on. Cross gonna take this directly to Kraid after Meridia. Going to opt to leave Shack Tool and Plasma Beam. Orphan those checks to try and save a little bit of time. And the odds are in his favor. But, again, you can always get randoed. Alright, Gozen, what's your best guess on where this cane is?
Fire flees after Ridley.
I certainly like a Norfair check, but another possibility here is... It's a lot of items required for Swamp that we got relatively early. Not even relatively early, but they're all there, and it makes me wonder if that is the play. I mean, Swamp almost never feels like a good play, but having all that stuff, it could be that as well. Speaking of mirror, Amarith is going to be heading to wreck ship here, and hopefully finding her mirror before too long. And the reward for taking down Kraid, an energy tank. Putting Cross at exactly 7, which is a perfect number of energy tanks for Super Metroid. Well, and Wave. Also true. 2 great rewards for defeating Kraid.
It is kind of a nice thing to have for some later tricks, too.
So Cross gonna opt out of Norfair to start here, and looks like he's heading to the ship, maybe to do a refill here first. Which certainly no one would hold against him. Without the charge beam, he could certainly take care of Ridley with at least 30 super missiles.
But more importantly, plasma.
Well, no charge beam.
So. It doesn't matter. He turned it on. He's got the plasma.
Nice. But I like the potential routing here for Cross if he goes to lower Norfair first. It just routes really, really nicely. With the flute, mitts, and everything available, I wouldn't see a reason why you wouldn't route lower Norfair into upper Norfair. Although Cross is going to go ahead and knock out some crystals here. He has the ability to full clear Pod and Eastern, and with the mirror, those are going to route together very nicely. Only the Armos Knights left in Eastern Palace. And Pod is one of those dungeons that you have to virtually full clear anyway. So, Cross may be looking at the item count of pod and saying, hey, I could really get bailed out of doing a lot of more fair checks if this cane just happens to be on my way in pod or eastern. So a nice heads up play by Cross.
Wait, you're saying you don't want him to check the chorizo?
I mean, I think it's better for Cross if he doesn't have to check the chorizo.
Getting rewarded immediately with red mail. Gotta feel good about that.
So that first chest in pod is a very interesting one in routing SMZ3, and a lot of A Link to the Past players in previous versions will also be familiar with this. If you don't find a key in that first chest, it basically means that Bo was required by logic for the remainder of pod. But Cross experiencing no such limitations here. Having the bow is going to be able to route it very efficiently here. And speaking of things that Cross needs to turn on, the silver arrows potentially save him a little bit of time against red mimics, although he may be more knowledgeable than me in terms of what saves him time, because silver arrows do cause a little bit more on-screen lag, so I don't know if that's what's in Cross's mind by not turning those on just yet. Amarith picking up her mirror from Wreck Ship. Cross is going to use a nice little bonk strategy here to get to the other side and pick that up. Amarith is also going to elect not to set up a save scum here and just go for this check. And unfortunately going to get whacked with the spike platform there, but not too much damage as she didn't KO through it. And Cross is resigned to the back half of pod now, where most of the items are going to be hidden. Oh, looks like Cross is setting up a hammer jump. Gonna be close. Oh no. And I honestly do not know enough about the hammer jump to have any idea how close he was to that.
So it looks like he was just a tiny bit off there. Might have just been 1 pixel off from the position, because it looked like he's got the spot right. Opting this time not to try again because the floor was going to fall out from under him before he could place the bomb.
Yeah, it looked like he started pause buffering a little bit later on that second attempt and just didn't have enough time to get everything set up. And Cross, do you recall if Amarith has cleared Kraid? I think that she has. I remember seeing her in the blue elevator room right next to it recently, but
I want to say Amarith did on a second visit through. I know the
Right.
first visit went down, but I'm not 100% sure. I want to say Amarith did get that clear, though.
Oh, there's another item that we forgot about, or at least I forgot about in Wreck Ship, which is the grapple beam. Again, pretty unlikely that that will play a role in deciding this race, but there is the shack tool check that Cross seemingly knowingly skipped that could potentially pay dividends and turn the race for Amarith. We'll see how that goes.
That's right. Amarith did not clear Kraid yet. Looks like Chad also remembered that she went over to East Death Mountain after the high jump check, and that's when she picked up all the other items, so that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Chad, for keeping us honest.
Amarith gonna do her final checks here in Wreck Ship. Gonna score in those 300 rupees. It is pretty late. They're probably not gonna do her a whole lot of good now. Although, with all the bottles that have been available in the later part of the seed, certainly some extra backup protection might not be a terrible use of them. And Amarith going into Bowling Alley as Cross clears Arrow Alley? I don't know. I don't even know what that room is called. Point is, they look very similar to me in two totally different games. I love how well they go together.
One's a fake wall, one's a fake floor.
Right?
You know what? The more I think about it, yeah, I could see that. All right.
And so far, unfortunately, Pod not paying any dividends to Cross. But when you're only looking for one item, it's kind of a long shot. That item will just when you're about ready to get frustrated with it, show up for you.
One might even say a rod in a haystack.
One might say it, but this commentator won't.
It's okay, I did it for you.
And hopefully Cross is going to remember to just mirror here immediately and take care of Eastern as well.
More than likely will remember that. It's been in his menu plenty of times. Definitely knows he's got the mirror. Yep, there it is.
There it is. Unfortunately, this is one of those seeds where Eastern really didn't have anything in the early game, and so putting it off until late game could have saved you a little bit of time, but I can't think of a runner who would have played it that way. Having been an Aga seed, I think almost all of them would have preferred to check Eastern early on rather than go directly to Aghanim. It's a pretty gutsy play to do Aghanim with any checks, Sphere 0 checks left on the table. And Cross could definitely save some time on Armos Knights by switching to Silver Arrows if he remembers. See if he does. Oh, that's a good point, not David Lynch. And unfortunately, Amarith getting nommed by the Space Sarlacc there. and not going to be rewarded very well for it either, as we know most of the stuff in Red Tower not so good. However, gonna be routing very close to X-Ray again, and hopefully gonna stop and pick up that fire rod there. And 300 rupees, the last item in Eastern. Not gonna be the droids that Cross is looking for.
But where are the droids Cross is looking for?
I don't know. I guess Swamp Palace. But we'll see. Looking like Cross may be now considering the lower Norfair play. Although... Oh yeah, he already cleared Desert fully, so... But, gonna check. Check checkerboard.
Well, we say fully. What we mean is he didn't check the torch item. Which you can guarantee I'll bring up in post-commentary in the interview.
And Amarith is going to head to X-Ray here and grab that fire rod, so good news there.
Cross is going to check Gold Chorizo here, so we are going to see all the items here. 300 rupees on the left side, so not missing anything there.
Oh, nothing behind GT there.
Just a whole lot of moolah.
So, chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ridley, I believe, requires Charge Beam in normal logic.
That is incorrect. There was a
Really?
change in version 11 that Ridley no longer requires Charge Beam, nor does Mother Brain.
Even in normal logic.
Even in normal logic. And the other big change is that reserve tanks count as energy tanks in terms of progression. That's mostly for hard logic, though.
Ah.
But it is good to note.
And Cross, unfortunately, not going to get a Shine Spark setup for this room. Gonna have to opt for a Power Bomb strat instead. But gonna do better routing than me here, or at least better management of that room in only having to spend 2 Power Bombs in the way that he placed them in the room.
Yep, and Amarith is now heading over to Kraid, so to make their way for their second boss kill here in SM.
And Amarith getting some kind of wacky glitch going on there. I'm not sure if it was just the way that it appeared on our screens, but leaving apparently just wings on that key hunter. Maybe it was just on some very specific frames that it appeared that way. And Cross going to be able to take advantage of some invincibility frames on the red key hunters to get through with Plasma Beam. Plasma Beam making that much easier than alternative beams. And Amarith, unfortunately, going to have to take on Kraid in his final form.
The DLC was included in this package.
Looks like she's 1 or 2 supers away from finishing him up. Cross getting some nice Shine Spark strats on the Silver Pirates there. Cross is about 5 supers short of a all supers kill on Ridley here. He's gonna farm a couple supers, it looks like. But he's got a lot of ammo here. He would have to miss an awful lot. But, you know, without charge beam to fall back on and no save, I don't know. I wouldn't want to tempt fate either.
Oh, he's fine. I mean, you can damage Ridley with missiles and power bombs too, so it's not a big deal.
Certainly. Cross has, again, with his experience in reverse boss order SM running, is pretty good at manipulating Ridley. Certainly better than me.
Yeah, I actually learned to get better by watching his stream one day. He was actually practicing RBO and just doing Ridley strats. I didn't know that you could actually reverse and manipulate Ridley during the pogo by jumping over Ridley's hip. So you can actually make the right pogo transition to a left pogo. So you'll see right here, this right pogo. And unfortunately, he got grabbed. But if he didn't get grabbed, he'd morph ball, roll to behind Ridley, and then jump up to get over Ridley's hip, and then Ridley would just 180 and pogo to the left side.
And Ridley goes down. Amarith looking like they're debating whether they want to head to Meridia or back to A Link to the Past at this point. I'm gonna opt to go down the elevator. We'll see what she does next. And it looks like with the mirror, Amarith is going to make this read to Checkerboard Cave as well. Unfortunately, like Cross, just going to find a blue rupee there, I believe. Cross going to set up another fancy blue ball, along with some not iframes, but along with a nice little clip through the enemy there.
Beautiful blue bomber.
I think blue bombers, you have to include the spring ball at the end of it. Just a subtle terminology thing, but I would not be I would not allow an SM player to correct you on that. I want to be a true friend and correct it for you.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
But even though you are an SM player, but thank you.
Nope, I have no categories of SM of any kind. I strictly play randos.
Still makes you a player, friend.
I guess so. Cross gonna check out PB's in jail here. One of my favorite room names. And a fetch quest item.
That could lead to a red cane.
Certainly could. It's probably the single worst fetch quest item that could lead to the red cane because it would lock you out of powder glitch. Oh, Cross looked like he was trying to set up a speedball and a spring ball jump to get through there. That's definitely one I've never seen before.
I'll have to agree with you on that. Personally, never seen that myself, but oh man, would have been nice to see.
The breadth of Cross's SM knowledge is really impressive. Amarith, meanwhile, going to opt to do some other checks that Cross hasn't done yet. Gonna carry that mirror through Dark World and checking south of Grove Ledge there. Potentially also Gonna look at Bombos here, I think, and maybe head up to Graveyard Ledge later on as well. And Cross must be feeling pretty comfy with his ammo count, because he definitely just left a set of super missiles in that room.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that play, especially since he's only got 50 right now. I mean, if he had 60, yeah, I could understand, but he does have a lot of regular missiles to make up for the lack of supers in terms of the Mother Brain fight, so...
Yep, I think he's probably all the way there and very confident in his ability to get some sort of Zeb skip without having to spend any missiles or time on it.
It looks like Amarith is going to be setting up for Swamp Palace here, so we will get to see a bunch of new checks out of there.
Yep. So that's an interesting read on the mirror, and one that that I mentioned earlier. We'll have to see if that's where the red cane is. It's looking increasingly likely, although Cross still has a lot of upper Norfair left to check here. But all 4 bosses down in SM for Cross. He's just looking probably to go mode as many Link to the Past dungeons as possible at this point.
I just had a thought.
Yeah.
So, when thinking of places you don't want the red cane to be, and how I wanted it to be on Ped, what say you put it on Green Pendant Turn-In?
Eek.
You've already got the knowledge that it's not Ped, but you still got Green Pendant on the table.
It's certainly a possibility. Just as nasty a possibility could be like a vanilla red cane. I know that Amarith checked 1 item in Mire, but I don't know if she found a second item before she bailed out or not.
Nope, I only recall 1, and that was in the right side of the checks, so the left side was still open. Things that would have needed the torch at the time to do, because they didn't have Fire Rod.
Well, they had the lamp, so those were available, just slow.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know anyone who's gonna go out of their way to want to check those items there. And I actually missed it. Okay, good. He is going back. I didn't see if he checked the item in the corner.
Looks like he's going to Cathedral here.
Yep, because he hasn't checked that yet.
I wouldn't see why you wouldn't do Croc first.
Out of curiosity, did you see the item that was at the bottom of Bubble Mountain there?
I did not.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't see it either when Cross passed through. I don't know if he went right enough to check it. I'm assuming he did, but we also assumed he checked the torch, so...
Oh.
Nope, he's going to it now. Charge Beam! That's a big find.
Well, not as big with 4 bosses dead, but certainly nice backup item. He definitely has no worries about finishing Mother Brain at this point.
I mean... You're Quispy? It's a pretty big find for me.
Amarith doing the left side swamp checks. Really hoping to find some progression there. Unfortunately, the only real possibility is Red Cane at this point. But judging by how this seed has gone, I definitely think that Amarith's preferred game is A Link to the Past. Definitely, probably trying to play to her strengths here in this race. Which who could fault her for that? And unfortunately, no big key in the front of Swamp. Potentially has to circle around back to that big chest. We'll find out. Depends on whether all of the dungeon items have been found. I'm fairly certain that the map has been found, but I don't recall if the compass has been found or not.
Map for sure, yes. Compass, I don't believe was found. I'm trying to remember what the first item was. Actually, it might have been the first item.
Oh, the very first item was a red rupee.
Okay. There's the cane.
There it is.
So we're in the no mode.
Now this find could... No, I don't see that. I was going to say that find could potentially hurt Amarith in the long run by sending her to Turtle Rock early, and I guess it still can, having picked up that fire rod. So that's certainly something we don't want to see happen to Amarith. So the timing and the process of elimination here could turn out to be really unfortunate for Amarith. She could be finding breadcrumbs that are going to lead her away from the rest of the progression. Definitely some nice moves against Argus there. Very nice execution. Very quick kills of the little puffs. Is Cross going to go for the Stutter 3 here? He is. There it is. Cross, unfortunately, jumping just a little bit late off of that ramp. Gonna come up just a little short. And Amarith, having picked up the big key in the back, is going to loop back around for that big chest before leaving Swamp Palace for good. We did see the compass in the back, so there is definitely an item in this chest. Now, if you're Cross at this point, you've basically full cleared Super Metroid except for Shacktool and Plasma. I gotta think that he's starting to wonder about Swamp Palace. It's definitely in the near future for him.
I think he'll consider it, but knowing that he still has Swamp Palace, it's definitely an option.
Cross gonna do pretty cool, a pretty cool Shine Spark here to check the back of Crumble Tower on his way to Ice. Nice routing.
And he freezes the enemy there to use as a platform. The more I watch him, the more I learn new small nuances that I never knew he knew.
And Amarith here going to chase down that fire rod lead, unfortunately in Pendant Skull Woods. Gonna find an E-tank in the middle. And I can't remember if she found one other item in the front or not.
There was one item found in the front.
Okay, so probably Gonna check Ped here, and then potentially jet straight to the back, kill Moth, and pick up that green pendant.
I definitely like the ped check here for sure. It's just gonna further confirm that you don't need all three, but unfortunately is gonna lose the warp here.
Oh, that hurts. Although it could be a blessing in disguise if she decides to forego it entirely. We're reasonably certain that it's not needed, but gonna go back for it.
Like you mentioned before, it's pretty easy to get back to. Cross going back and checking Spike Cave.
Looks like Amarith is going for Graveyard Ledge now. And now that Cross has the mirror, his save and quit is going to place him at the pyramid since he's completed Aghanim. And it looks like Cross may be checking...
Mushroom.
Yep. I was going to say Graveyard Ledge if he hookshotted across, but I think you're right. He is going to check Mushroom.
Yeah, he may do that on the way back.
Well, this is kind of a heads-up play for Cross, right? So he has gone from a save and quit directly to the Mushroom check, right? And if this is nothing, which it is, he may choose to save and quit to maintain that Mushroom. But yeah, with Kane away from go mode, there's not really a reason to do that.
It would give him... Well, no, it wouldn't, because you would need Kane to do that. So he knows it can't be on powder.
Well, I mean, it could be on powder if he finds powder somewhere else, but yeah.
Yeah, that is absolutely true, but with where it's at right now, I don't think that's probably the first thought on his mind. But he is doing the Graveyard Ledge, like you said, just good routing option here to get that out of the way. And then when he comes out, he can just flute down and enter Swamp Palace. So good routing option here by Cross.
Yeah, I wonder how much longer he's going to stay away from Swamp, though, because he does still have several more Dark World checks. Remember that Amarith has already checked Purple Chest, where Cross has not. So he may be thinking the World Tour here to include Cave 45 and Purple Chest and all that stuff, which is only going to keep him away from his goal even longer.
Yeah, with him taking that portal, I'm highly inclined to agree with you on that, as I think he is going to make his way over to Outcasts and do exactly that.
I actually agree, Groby. Swamp being a crystal is definitely, no reason not to check that pretty quickly with so few dungeons left to go. You get that out of the way, and potentially that spares you all these overworld checks and Skullwoods and Misery Mire, all these things that Cross doesn't necessarily know that he could potentially skip at this point. So that would certainly save him a lot of headache. I think you're right.
Oh no, is Amarith doing it?
Yeah, I do believe the Turtle Rock play is upon us here. And Cross setting up dash with the purple chest here to try and save some time. So he's hookshotting and then immediately dashing and able to keep the chest behind him. The reason he's doing this is, as we correctly surmised here, trying to do kind of this world tour and clean up all those mirror checks. Even though the flute is faster as the duck flies, if you'll forgive the pun, definitely doesn't want to miss these checks. So from his perspective, doing these dash strats is probably the most efficient way to do these checks since he's committed to doing them. Ross gonna go ahead and turn in the purple chest here, find ether, but he already knows that that's not going to lead him to anything. And then gonna go check Bombo's tablet. And probably, I would guess, from there head straight away to Swamp. Meanwhile, Amarith has found the Turtle Rock big key, and also 2 other keys in the front, so full keys so far on the top floor of Turtle Rock. Gets a nice sword spin strat there on the 4-layered enemy. Oh, this is a cool setup. So Amarith able to use only one Samaria block there in order to activate that chest. I have not seen that strat before. That's pretty nifty. Today I learned.
You don't snipe me when we do multi-worlds?
Is it sniping if we're on the same team?
Yes. Eventually it devolves into a race. I love that setup. It's so good.
It devolves into a race. And Cross gonna head into Swamp now. Back on track, where we hoped he would get to. And Dratini getting hit with Hyper Beam there by the eye laser above the door. Gonna find missiles in the middle. And what will be interesting to see here is, will Cross do the back half of Swamp first, which will certainly save him some time, right? So if he, the big key, I believe, is in the back of Swamp. So there's almost no reason I can think of why Cross wouldn't gamble on doing the back of Swamp before doing left side, because the potential payoff there is pretty good.
I think it just comes down to how he's feeling right now. If he feels like he's behind, he might skip it. But if he's feeling like everything's been at a pretty good pace, he's probably just going to go do it. Density-wise, he should go check it, but we'll see what he does.
I don't know. I'm of the opinion that you always do the back first, always. Because you can always get bailed out, depending on your dungeon item locations. And Swamp having so many items required to get to it, Swamp is almost always one of your last dungeons that you do along with Turtle Rock, and so very frequently it pays off to only do the back of Swamp.
The real question.
Some runners only do the back almost no matter what, and will return to do left side later if they have to.
Now, I'm very happy to see him doing this. So show us a good diver down, Cross.
I didn't even know you could do this without the cane, but
Yep.
there it is.
Yep,
And
there are
Cross
bomb strats for it.
Not even gonna bother with that second chest. Oh, nope, goes back for it. I thought he was so happy to find the cane that he was just making a beeline for the exit. But we have our first runner in go mode.
That is absolutely correct. So just has to finish up Swamp Palace here, go to Turtle Rock, and climb a tower to get that big pig.
Jajakes asks, can you do the same kind of bomb strat in ice, or is the cane required for that new?
So
clip?
Icebreaker, I believe, specifically requires that. I can have that answer here in just a second.
Yeah, those tricks are too new for me. I unfortunately don't know Diver Down or Icebreaker. The last trick that I learned for Link to the Past was Stair Clip in Ice Palace, which I think is about a year old at this point.
Okay, yep. So I did just check. Icebreaker does, or can only be done with the cane. So there is no alternative strat to that because it's a door state extension trick.
And Amarith going to take a safety strat here. Wisely, I think. With only 3 hearts, you don't want to get sent back to the beginning of Turtle Rock. It's much better to spend the extra 5 or 6 seconds here for the safety and the peace of mind. And Amarith still hunting a various suit, a bow, and an ice rod is going to be checking all of these laser bridge chests despite having found the key. And unfortunately not going to luck out with the ultimate meme, ice rod on laser bridge. It happens more often than you'd think, but not today, unfortunately. So I do think Amarith has an interesting option here to do the back of Meridia first, but looking like they're going to opt to go front to back via the tube route. I am a big fan of starting at the back of Meridia when you have the option to do so and when it routes well. I think back to front Meridia is generally considered to be a little bit faster, but there is a ton of value in Meridia, as we know. So certainly not going to hurt Amarith at all, one way or another. Meanwhile, crossproduct going to be diving his last crystal dungeon here, Turtle Rock. And going to be armed with the knowledge that once he has the requisite number of keys, can head directly to Trinex and hook that nicely into Ganon's tower.
And while our runners here checking things each other's previously done, if you enjoy what they're doing here with this amazing race, please give them a follow. And don't forget to check out the tournament sponsor, Rank 1 Global. They're an amazing organization here that's sponsoring the tournament with cash prizes. Their website is rank1.global. They're a great place to set up a profile for yourself to be able to showcase the games that you're playing, as well as set up a community for yourself in terms of letting people know what you're playing and why you're playing it. So that's rank1.global. Amarith picking up her bow here. Just needs to get the ice rod out of the last couple of checks here, and then we'll also be in go mode.
And Amarith probably going to be pretty unhappy to see that ice rod there, having just come from Turtle Rock.
It's definitely never a good feeling.
I guess the best outcome here, though, is that I do believe Amarith is in go mode now.
Absolutely.
And so being able to skip essentially all of Lower Norfair and all of Upper Norfair is going to save her a fair amount of time towards the end of the seed. Cross going to set up for 2 magic casts and 5 tempered sword hits on each head of Trinex here. Gets through it nicely. Amarith, plenty of ammo, and very handily takes out Botwoon with no trouble at all. Gets a lot of energy drops there. Cross getting a speedy 3 hits in on the head of Trinex there to finish it off.
We do see an early Shine Spark charge here. Unfortunately, it looks like that did get dropped.
And with the 7th crystal, you guys know what time it is. It's time for the big key guessing game. I don't know if our tracker needs to set that up.
No, I don't think we get the bot for SMZ3.
Oh, I think you're correct. So this one's just for funsies. Get your guesses in chat.
What's your guess, Sinus?
I am gonna say... Bob's Torch 3.
It's a good guess. I like that.
How about your guess, Gozen?
I'm a big right gambler guy, but I also am. I'm gonna full clear right side. So normally, Like when I say 8, it's like, oh yeah, the right grouping of chests. So I'm gonna say like 17.
Okay. Looks like Gozen did not get a key in Hope Room, so he's probably opting left here. And that's a shovel on Bob's torch. He wants nothing to do with that. So I'm out.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. Meanwhile, Amarith setting up for a grapple kill on Dragon. Gonna take several tail lashings here. And looks like chest number 4. So congratulations to J. Jakes. You win the game.
You win our respect for correctly guessing a chest. Congratulations, you won! Beep boop.
Cross still has not turned on silver arrows yet. We will see if that materializes before Ganon here. Although these rooms are fairly laggy with silver arrows. So again, still possible that this is a conscious decision not to do that.
At this point, I'm still under the assumption he forgot.
Amarith being in go mode here, I would guess is going to immediately exit stage right out of Meridia to more efficiently route the rest of the game. And looking like that's going to be the case. Smart play. And it looks like Amarith is now going to route in Pod and Eastern. These are things that we saw from Cross a little bit earlier. Meanwhile, Cross is going to be running the gauntlet of GT, and enjoy that as it goes. Not going to be a whole lot of super interesting stuff to commentate on other than execution here. So at this time, I want to again shout out our sponsor, Rank 1, for supplying prize money to the tournament. Thank you very much. Guys, check out rank1.global. And Amarith opting for right side immediately in Pod. I don't know if she has already dove Pod once already, or if this is a conscious routing decision that I simply don't understand in my ignorance about A Link to the Past. But certainly with the bow, that's not going to be an issue for her to get through at all. And she does turn on her silver arrows for that mimic room. And Cross just checking a couple of chests there at the end of GT. I guess the only thing that he might have gotten there that might help is, oh my gosh, there are morph bombs all the way at the top of GT where they will help almost no one in any way. But yeah, the only thing I can think of that would really potentially help Cross here is a gold sword, and even then, that wouldn't help that much at this point. Potentially screw attack as well. I do know that Cross can do the speed booster Shine Spark Zeb skip, which means that he would not need to turn off screw attack, where some other runners would need to if they found it. So that's another possibility that's semi-unique to him.
he'll still probably turn it off, as he does like to get a deboost from the hopper room beforehand, just to save him time for setting that up later. So more than likely, we might see him go for it still, but more than likely he'll still turn off this screw. He would still turn that off anyway.
Mm-hmm. And it looked like Cross got a 3-hit there, but I don't know if all 3 of them counted. Sometimes if 2 shots are very close together, it will only count as 1. But Cross definitely making short work of agging him 2 there.
Also interesting to note, because we're just about in that Ganon fight. I happen to check in on his tracker. He does not have silvers marked.
Oh no.
So I don't know if he was using voice tracking and set it and it just didn't take, or if he just forgot to mark it. But yeah, he's in the mindset that he doesn't have it because they did get turned off.
Ganon laying a little bit of insect knowledge on us.
I will say, honestly, for being an evil overlord trying to, take over the world using the power of the Triforce, is very knowledgeable in a lot of random things, and I can appreciate his knowledge.
Especially musical trivia.
Absolutely.
And Cross got a nice little niche there in the upper right-hand corner. I've never seen that spin set up for Phase 2. It was very nice. I'll have to remember that one. I've seen it at the bottom of the screen many times, but never in that corner.
You can also get a nice one in the top left corner as well, that you can actually just do dash strats if you have the boots. Also super nice there.
Cross going to go ahead and do the torch glitch, as he thinks he needs to do a silverless Ganon here. And unfortunately, even as he hovered past his bow there, and the Y button definitely showed, letting him know that silver ammo was available to him. But he's pretty committed to the strategy that's in his mind at this point. And I don't know if it's the same for other people, but my brain kind of goes on autopilot at some point during a race when I know I'm in go mode and I just need to focus on execution. Meanwhile, Amarith heading down to Helmasaur King here. Going to be closing in on her last crystals. And that is Ganon down for Cross. Get a G in chat for Cross Product. Just Mother Brain left to go here. And Cross probably... Oh, he is not going to take a refill at the ship. Being at full beam combo, Cross is reasonably confident in his abilities, certainly more confident than I am, that he is going to be able to finish off Mother Brain with charge strats, and actually getting to use those morph bombs there in the parlor may only set 1 bomb this entire race. So I guess they did come in useful. Meanwhile, Amarith has the armor off of Helmasaur King. Takes him down handily. Oh, Chibi, we will definitely be asking Cross if he knows that he has silver.
Oh, 100%. I have a big thing of notes here that says, "Where's your silvers at?"
Yeah, where were silvers at in the seed? Do we remember? I know they were in the light world, but what exact location?
I remember they were free, and I know for a fact both of them have it. They got it before they got the bow.
Yeah, I think it was a Sphere Zero check somewhere.
I want to say it was first chest of Eastern, but I could be mistaken. Yeah, there's that D-boost I'm talking about. He loves that D-boost.
Certainly weren't on Desert Palace Torch. You're not wrong, Malacris.
Can confirm, which is the second topic on my notes. Why didn't you check the torch?
And Cross, gonna go for Baby Skip here. Certainly has the beams required. Gets the trickier jump out of the way. And Baby's gonna block him a little bit on those shots, but got a good rhythm going and nails it. Very nicely done. Certainly a trick that sets Cross Product in a league. Apart from me, anyway. I can't Baby Skip.
Don't even look at me. I can't do it.
And we'll see what kind of Zeb skip he opts for here. Looks like he's going to try the Shine Spark strat.
Yep, went for it once.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he had it.
It was close.
Down, but goes for the easy backup there with Ice Wave Plasma and gets it handily. He's got more than enough missiles and supers to take down Mother Brain 1 here.
We did get confirmation from chat. Silvers were in the well.
Oh my. Amarith now done with Eastern, just one crystal away from their first G, and having full cleared Turtle Rock, with the exception of Trinex, is going to be making pretty short work of that overall. So Amarith definitely starting to clear content very, very quickly towards the end of their run. Still has Ridley in Lower Norfair, though. And Ridley can ruin dreams. And Cross looks like he's setting up for stand-up glitch here. He's got a minimum 700 health. And it looks like he turned off Various Suit to make that a little bit easier for himself.
That's also another one of those common tech tricks that he does.
Yeah, the timing with Varia and Gravity can be a little bit tight. And if you miss it and don't have enough reserve tanks, Mother Brain can definitely ruin your day. But Cross definitely playing it safe here. Out of curiosity, what was on Desert Palace Torch? Yes, a progressive shield was there. Cross got a good stand-up going here. Hasn't missed any shots. Has a good rhythm going. If you've never done stand-up glitch before, this is a little bit trickier and more temperamental than it looks. You can definitely soft lock for 20 minutes at a time if you're not careful. And while the baby Metroid is on top of you, you actually have to enter Mother Brain's hitbox a little bit in order to hit her with your beam. Otherwise, the baby Metroid will just absorb the shot without hitting Mother Brain. And I think that was only 4 or 5 shots left over to finish off Mother Brain with the Hyper Beam. So definitely a very solid stand-up glitch. And at just about 3 hours flat, crossproduct has both bosses down and is going to enter the escape sequence.
Oh, he tried for it.
Went for the blue bomber.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's a really touchy trick. I don't know what it is about the spring ball jump and the unmorph there. Maybe it's that I hit my right button instead of hitting straight up, but it definitely feels like a temperamental trick. It saves a very, very small fraction of time. But if you are a serious Super Metroid speedrunner, you certainly know what it is, and you know that it saves frames, and that you've got to do it to compete with the best. So Cross definitely knows it. So gave it the old college try, but goes with the backup Shine Spark there to finish it out.
Don't forget swag. It's 100% swag. No animals today for Cross, as he's just going to make it back to the ship here. And with that, Cross will finish in first place with an official SRL time of 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 36 seconds. Please get your GGs in chat for Cross Product.
And at roughly the same time, Amarith picking up her last crystal in Turtle Rock. Hey, Cross, GG.
Yeah, I'm looking at this tracker here. I don't know who's running the tracker here, but they screwed up. It says I have silver arrows.
Hey, Cross. Funny question. Did you know you actually had silver arrows since
I
CAC?
did not. I did not know I had them. I was even looking for them. I was tempted to go. Funny, I was actually going to look for them on Laser Bridge, and I was like, I got 4 hearts. It's a little risky just for silver arrows. And when Ganon, best part of that was Ganon said they were in the light world, so it was like, I knew I should have picked up that.
Speaking of checks in the light world, are there any other places where you might have thought you might have left silver arrows behind?
It's
In
actually,
the light world?
Yeah, in the light world. It's a pretty important question.
Mirror, Mimic Cave?
That's a great spot. But I guess technically it's in a dungeon, specifically Desert Palace Cross. You did not check the torch.
Sure I did.
You did not.
What was on it, Cross?
Compass.
Wrong.
It was a shield upgrade, actually.
It was an item. Yeah.
Blew right by it.
But then, why did I?
Yeah, we don't know.
Why,
we don't know.
Why did I fight Moldorm?
We have no clue
Why did
why
I
you
fight
fought him
Moldorm?
out of logic. We have no clue why you fought him out of logic. That being said, Amarith did decide to forfeit here. And looks like we'll be joining us in the booth in just a moment.
Yeah, so Desert Palace, the middle room was a key. Right side had the compass and the big key. I think the big chest had
The map.
Was it the map? And then, yeah, Moldorm had an item and the torch had an item.
Well, Moldorm had an item at least, so it wasn't a complete waste of time.
We're now joined by Amarith. Welcome. But let's see, what else happened to that seed? Let's talk about that.
I forgot Bonk Rocks. That was a good one.
That Moon Pearl.
I mean, did you see my SRL comment? Just read that. Interview over. That's all you need to know is in my SRL comment.
Okay.
I did happen to take a look at Amarith's VOD earlier today. They were doing practice yesterday or recently, so I was checking out the VOD, and I saw that Amarith was looking pretty good in Link to the Past. So if I was gonna stay ahead, I would have needed to take the advantages I could in Super Metroid. And then of course Morph Ball didn't come for 40 minutes. So it's like, come on, like when you're in Link to the Past randomizer and you know that your opponent has an edge on you in Link to the Past, the last thing that you want to see is an early Pegasus boots. That's like, come on, no. The more execution heavy this run is for Link to the Past, the worse off I am.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it was evident that at least it appeared to me that Amarith was much more comfortable in their Link to the Past checks, even perhaps leaning a little bit harder on some of those checks. Was that part of your strategy, Amarith?
Yeah, just a little bit, like looking for a little bit more safeties to go into the Super Metroid areas. Like, I really should have gone into Meridia a lot earlier than I did. I would have found as I was talking to Crossproduct in the SRL chat, like, I would have gotten Charge Beam. I would have been way more comfortable going into a lot of those Super Metroid situations.
Oh, Meridia was loaded. But yeah, I mean, I think I might have had 5 E-Tanks going into Meridia, which can be kind of tough. I actually saved before Bot Twin. I was like, I'm not soft-locking the Bot Twin and losing half an hour of progress. I'm saving it. Even though I had 20 super missiles, I'm still, no, I'm saving.
It's actually kind of interesting because you mentioned Bot's Wound. You didn't set up on the right side like you normally do. Any reason for that?
Read the SRL comment so that everybody knows.
Oh, okay. So Cross's SRL comment was, the answer to any questions that you might have is because I forgot.
There you have it.
All right.
But yeah, it's really cool that some people are branching out. A lot of people from Link to the Past randomizer are starting to dip their toes in Super Metroid and the crossover rando, and that's really cool to see. We had a really good turnout for the tournament. I know we have a number of people that are being very brave and trying it out. Like, not to say anything against them, because they're putting themselves out there on the restreams and everything. And it's really cool to see people step up and try to learn new things. So welcome Amarith to SMZ3, and yeah, pretty good run. It looks like you're on your way to Ganon's Tower right as I was finishing, so not too far behind.
Yeah, so the progression, the item sequence there was so Cross, you found the loaded Meridia a little bit early, and unfortunately, I think the cane find in Swamp Palace worked against Amarith, because Amarith, you dove it a lot sooner, and finding that cane chased that down into Turtle Rock and spent some time there.
Oh, an Ice Ride was in Meridia, if I recall.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was really the worst kind of breadcrumb that I think you could have gotten in that situation.
It's tough to say, but yeah, like the end doesn't really seem to have helped. But once again, GG Cross Product, congratulations on the win. It was a fun seed. Aside from that very convoluted Moon Pearl sequence, that was interesting.
Yeah, the beginning of this was just like all Link to the Past, and that was kind of my biggest fear, was that there was going to be a heavy, because sometimes seeds throw more Super Metroid stuff, and sometimes they throw more Link to. This is all Link to the Past, at least early on.
So both of you went to Ice Palace at different times, right? And Cross, I think you saw those Titans mitts and the flippers and Bombos and just beeline straight for it. And I think that was a really good read overall. And you had a nice clean Ice Palace despite not having the hook shot. But then Amarith, you actually made up an impressive amount of time, because you made the same read, but you waited until it was the end of it was in logic with the hook shot, and actually made up a ton of time in that dungeon. It was really impressive run through.
It's definitely something I'm going to take a look back and watch on.
The funny thing was, it wasn't actually in logic until you had Canis Maria, because Cold Stare had a small key, right? So I think logically you need all of the small keys in order to beat Ice Palace without Canis Maria.
Is Ice Palace the one that still has +1 key compared to vanilla? Yeah.
And that is correct. Yep,
Oh,
so-
really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong then. Everything I know about this game is incorrect. I guess I forgot.
But yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else stand out in the seed other than that extremely linear opening sequence that happened. Both of you found the gloves on Zora really early. Was it in the front of your mind that, hey, these gloves are still out of logic type kind of thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had that in my mind up until the point where I found the flippers, which I think were in Hype Cave.
That is correct.
It's kind of, I actually put off Thieves Town because it wasn't in logic yet. I knew that it wouldn't be in logic until I found a glove or flippers. So that's why I actually went to Hype Cave first.
Oh yeah, you're right, because you had the hammer, so I guess once you found the flippers, even with the flippers, you were still out of logic for Thieves Town, right? Because you can't get the whole way around there.
No, you can hammer. You'd have flippers to get the glove, plus hammer and moon pearl. You can get there.
Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't that far away, but it was still that's good forward thinking, reading the seed.
Mm-hmm. And Hype Cave's always a good check anyway, right? It's near a start point, and it's 5 items.
Yep.
I think, Mike, a couple of things that I would like to improve on in my run. Not forgetting Bonk Rocks was pretty big. It was about the time I was about to head into Thieves Town, so pretty long after even defeating Aghanim, I realized, oh, I didn't check Bonk Rocks yet. And I knew that Aghanim was probably required at that point, but there's still a decent enough chance that Morph Ball or Screw Attack is on Bonk Rocks. And I knew if I saw one of those two items, I would have felt really bad and felt like I probably would have been behind, since I had gone all the way to kill Aghanim, right, when all I needed was any one item to get to Big Pink for Moon Pearl.
Cross, do you have any other questions? Or Gozen, do you have any other questions?
I mean, you've been calling me Cross and calling Cross Gozen all night, so that's fine by me. Yeah, it's okay. No, I mean, we pretty much got everything answered. That being said, guys, make sure to give our runners a follow. They put on a great show here. If you
Thanks for the race, Amarith.
Likewise.
I'm glad to have you on board. One of these days, we should just get all of the people from this tournament and do a really big multi-world. I think that would be fun. We're going to do better than that big old Zooter one.
Oh my gosh. Any final comments on the seed there, Cross or Amarith?
I think we covered it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, there is one thing. I felt bad because I need one item, Canis Maria. It's in a crystal dungeon. I think that I made the right call when I went to Lower Norfair, because Ridley is basically a crystal dungeon, right? So I'm full clearing Lower Norfair, and then Upper Norfair is right there on my way out. I think if there was a mistake in that route, it was that I went to Crocomire before I came back to Link to the Past and check Swamp Palace. Because Crocomire is like a pendant dungeon, right? But Ridley's a crystal.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that's
I can agree with that.
And if I'm to be honest, the only reason I went to Crocomire before Swamp Palace was because I really had to use the bathroom, and I knew I'd have a little bit of extra time during the Crocomire melt cutscene.
Nice. Well, then, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you again, Cross and Amarith, for a great game. Thank you to my co-host Gozengata and our tracker 5D100, always with the big rolls. Thank you very much for helping out today. Thank you also to Rank1.global for sponsoring the tournament and putting up the prizes. We appreciate you. And thank you, the viewers, for hanging out with us this fine evening. Again, please check out those runners, give them a follow, and we hope you'll stay tuned. We have a lot more races coming your way. 96 entrants in this SMZ3 tournament, so still a lot to go. We'll see you next time, everyone.
All right. Thanks. Good luck in your future races, Amarith. Have a good night.
Good night. Good luck in your future races too.